So before we get into today's video, I was hoping you guys could send some well wishes and positive vibes to my godfather, Uncle Mike. We've talked about him before here on the channel. He was the one that bought me Mortal Kombat with my Sega Genesis Model 2 on Christmas of 1993, which my mother promptly made me return to the store. But Uncle Mike had a very severe heart attack last night. He's currently in the hospital on a ventilator on life support, and things aren't looking great. And it sucks. It definitely sucks. He's a super funny guy. I definitely get a lot of my, even though we didn't spend a whole lot of time together, in my teenage and early adult years, like I definitely get a lot of my personality from him. Like he's very straightforward, a straight shooter. He'll say F you to your face at a family event, like he did at his mother's funeral that we were at earlier this year. He kind of went off on one of the family members. I never liked you. Like it's very similar to me. So I hope he pulls through this, and we're rooting for you, Uncle Mike. Hang in there, buddy. You can fight through this, man. All right, so recently Nintendo has been getting a bit of some disgruntled press. A lot of people are talking about some situations that have arisen from some updated rule policies, and I kind of want to talk about that sort of stuff. But I also want to let you guys know about something else that I feel is a very bizarre fight that they are currently trying to fight. This might be an exclusive story. I haven't seen anyone else talking about this. Somebody sent it to me over on Facebook and sent me the receipts, so I want to talk about it. But why is everyone mad at Nintendo right now? Well, it's kind of stemming from tournaments because, Smash Brothers tournaments, all that sort of stuff is a very popular thing within the fighting game communities and the Nintendo game communities. And Nintendo has always kind of been a bit wishy-washy when it comes to their tournaments and kind of supporting tournaments. Of course, they have their own tournaments they do from time to time, but people like to create their own tournaments and have these sort of events in which people are playing games like Smash from various consoles, whether it's Melee, 64, all of that sort of stuff. Well, Nintendo just revealed some new guidelines for tournaments that are applicable to all tournaments. So if you want to have a tournament, these are the rules you got to follow. And there's some very questionable things here that are making people very, very upset. So when you look down at some of the information, tournaments may only include up to 200 participants for an in-person tournament or up to 300 participants for online tournaments. I don't understand that. Like, I don't understand what that matters to Nintendo. Like, how do you come up with this arbitrary number of okay, well, this is the max amount of people you can have on a tournament, or else we're gonna get mad at you and we're gonna shut this show down. It's like, it's such a weird thing. It's such a definitive number, and it's like, if the organizers can handle that, if they have enough televisions, they have enough devices to play the games on and stuff, what does it matter? Like, how is that affecting Nintendo in any way, shape, or form? You can see here that there is also a market value for total prizes. You can only have, this is a European website, so 5,000 pounds or 4,500 pounds, 500,000 francs. But like, once again, why? Like, why are you putting what does that have to do with you? What if the sponsor comes along and somebody sponsors the tournament and the grand prize winner wins, 15 grand or something like that? Like, once again, I don't understand why it's such a hard cap limit for the prizes in a 12-month period, no more than 9,000 pounds. Like, why? What does that, how does that affect Nintendo in any way, shape, or form? You could see scrolling down here, there's a bunch of ticky-tacky stuff. Now, there has been some stuff that has been happening in some Nintendo tournament scenes that has, definitely like legal stuff, like, situations where like police had to get involved because of allegations about people or people potentially doing things. I don't follow these communities all that much, so I'm an outsider looking in, and I wear deodorant. So I'm just kidding, Smash people, calm down. And then of course you have all this stuff like tournaments using IP and stuff like that. You got to be limited within that. So it's like, if this is a Smash tournament, like, I understand this. You can't, may not be presented as official or endorsed by Nintendo. Completely understand that. That makes sense. That's a valuable thing, because if something happens at this event, Nintendo doesn't want to be, looked at in a negative light, if a fight breaks out or something and then Nintendo gets blamed for it. Like, no, I completely understand saying that this is not an official or an endorsed thing, but like, I don't know. This is like, a lot of this stuff feels just so overbearing, so kind of ridiculous, and so kind of, you can't have a community tournament in which you have sponsors that advertise any promotion or any identity products or services, promote any campaigns or initiatives on personal or organized opinions, ideologies, and beliefs. Like, I kind of get that, but then like anything that Nintendo deems inappropriate, like, I don't know, man. Like, it seems so ticky-tacky. Like, I understand protecting your brand. I understand protecting your IP, but a tournament happening in like New York City or something like that, I don't think that that's going to cripple the Nintendo brand or do a lot of damage to the Nintendo brand if something bad happens. I understand covering your own ass, though. I totally get that. But to me, all this is going to do is turn people off. It's going to turn off event organizers because they're not going to want to deal with this sort of stuff. They're not going to want to deal with all of these restrictions and having to, worry about ticky-tack things, and maybe Nintendo deems this inappropriate. And we've heard about Nintendo shutting down events over the past few years and stuff like that. So it's kind of, it's kind of a bad look, and I can understand why people are upset about it. But as someone who's not in the Smash Brothers community or in any, Splatoon communities, is there a Mario Kart community that does tournaments? I don't know, but it doesn't really bother me all that much. But this next thing, it's a lot more interesting just because I don't understand it. So like I said, I was sent this over on Facebook, and this is a DMCA for a group known as Video Game Kiosk and Display Collectors. We removed the following content you posted on Facebook because we received a notice from a third party that it infringes their trademark rights. And the thing in question was done by Nintendo of America, DMCA at noa.nintendo.com, which, as someone who has talked with Nintendo's legal department about things before, that is their official DMCA email address that they will contact you at, trademark Nintendo. So a kiosk group was hit with something here. And what is the item in question? It's actually a Nintendo Switch kiosk. Basically, somebody was selling off a Nintendo Switch kiosk that they had, and this person was hit with a DMCA claim by Nintendo. So you have to think about this for a second. That means that Nintendo somehow found out that this person was selling a kiosk and then went after them and struck down their listing in a private Facebook group in order to have them so they weren't able to sell it. Now, I know what you're saying. Well, how did they get this kiosk? This, that, or the other. You got to remember, the Nintendo Switch has been around since 2017. If I open up a video game store in 2018 and I have a display, a kiosk from Nintendo in that store, and then my store goes out of business because of the pandemic, obviously I'm going to still have this kiosk. Like, I don't think people are breaking into Walmarts and Targets and GameStops and they're like, give me this. Like, companies shift out their materials, companies shift out their kiosks and stuff like that. So what does it matter? How does this impact anything? There's nothing inside of a kiosk that's going to give you like any sort of new information or anything like that. It's a kiosk. It's a display unit. It's a demo unit. How many times do you see those, pop up in video game groups? Now, the person who was hit with a DMCA did clarify that this was just for the Switch. It didn't seem to be impacting older kiosks and stuff like that. But once again, why is this a fight worth fighting? Is this a fight, is this something worth getting involved in just to sort of show your power and be like, we don't want you to sell this kiosk? Like, it's one kiosk. If this guy had a truck full of kiosks, then maybe I'd be asking some questions. But one individual person with one kiosk, I personally know people who have Switch kiosks in their house because GameStop shut down and they were getting rid of it, or, this, that, or the other. There's a lot of situations in which a person can acquire one of these, and most of them aren't illegal because it would be so hard to illegally obtain one of these. But if you want to sell it, like, who cares? What does it matter? So, I don't know, strange stuff, man. Nintendo always seems to put their foot you know, behind their other foot and they trip over it. And then, you know, people will say, well, why is everyone mad at Nintendo? You know, it's kind of their own doing, kind of an unnecessary evil that, you know, is it a fight worth fighting? You know, we talk about this with emulation all the time. Is this a fight worth fighting? And I definitely think these two instances aren't. So that's why people are mad at Nintendo right now. I wouldn't say I'm mad at them. I just kind of don't understand some of their decisions. If I'm a tournament organizer, I'm not hosting any more tournaments. We're playing PlayStation All-Stars at my tournament, boys. We're playing friggin' Nickelodeon, the Nickelodeon fighting game. That's what we're playing. None of this Smash Brothers stuff. If I own a kiosk, I guess I would just hold on to it. Let me know what you think of all of this in the comments section down below. And as always, guys, thank you guys for checking out this video. Please send some positive vibes to Uncle Mike. I hope he pulls through this. We're rooting for you, brother. We are rooting for you. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.